I'm Max from Games4Families.
Hi, I'm John. I'm also from Games4Families.
And
a bit.
At Games4Families, we take a family angle on games. And today we're talking about
Downforce.
That's upside down force. Like
Right.
that, you donut.
very good. Let's see what it's like to play. So this is a race game, but it starts with an auction. So what we're going to show is my hand of cards, which has got various cards in it. And what you look at is what is your strongest colours, and those are the cards you need to be bidding on. And then you bid in turn for the different cards and decide how much you want them and therefore what you want to bid. So here we're bidding for the blue car with a power of being cunning. Now at this point I don't have much blue, so I'm not that bothered. So what I'm going to do is just play a fairly low powered card. Apologies, I overdubbed this bit because my narration was terrible.
Cards.
So what we're going to do is flip the cards. And John has bid 3, I've bid 2, and Tess has bid 4. So Tess gets to be the cunning blue driver, but gets 4 taken off her score at the end of the game.
Do I?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
And you join us at the Downforce Grand Prix, and the first player is Tessie, and she's played a card with lots and lots of cards on it, and she's going to move the blue first 6 spaces. This is because blue is at the top of her card and is also one of her cards.
So long, suckers.
She's then going to move the green 4 spaces. Lots of engine noises being made always in this game. Now, and the black 3 spaces. The black 3 spaces. And notice the cards can move diagonally or forwards. And even if it's not her own car. So this is not her own car. The orange needs to move 2 spaces. Tess is moving it because it's her go, even though it's my car. So she moves me to an outside lane very cleverly. And then she moves the yellow 1 space. But of course the yellow is now stuck because that's not a legal move. It's not diagonal. So you may need to maybe move the orange, do the orange again, and then do the yellow.
Move it there because it's stuck behind your car.
Good point, and then I can move.
And then you can move the yellow 1. Now, you would have noticed that she didn't move the red, even though the red is on the card.
It's my car.
That's because she's also got the strategic power, which means if she plays a speed car with 6 colours on it, you ignore 1 colour on it. So in order, mainly to annoy her brother, she has left his car on the starting grid. So I've moved my car, the orange one, so it's at front. But then I've got to move the green one, 4. 1, 2, 3. Can't go the full 4 because mine's in the way. And I'm supposed to move the blue 2, but again, I'm blocking it completely so it can't progress. Okay, so the orange car's now past the first betting line. The yellow lines are betting lines. After each betting line, each player will mark which car on their slip they think is going to win the race. And this will score them points at the end. So what we're going to do now is just give you a little bit of sped up footage, so you don't have to sit through the whole game, but you get an idea of the flow. So Tessie here is actually taking her go unusually slowly, just so it would look normal at this speed, but then the rest of us are going to do it at normal speed, so it looks very fast. You can see how everything moves around, you play your cards, and 2 things to notice. One is that you sometimes move on other people's turns, which is very helpful, and also that John has just played a card which has only got 1 colour on it, and that is actually disproportionately useful for him because it moves him up through the field quite nicely. As we get past the second yellow line, we all make our bets on the eventual winner and carry on like that. You can see how blocking is quite important, and choosing the right line through some of the chicanes can really kind of can speed you up or slow you down. And getting into those choke points so that people can't move behind you is one of the big kind of decisions of the game. And we get past the third line there, and we make our final bet, which isn't worth as much because, of course, it's pretty clear who's going to win at this point in terms of the game, but in terms of the race, but not in terms of the game. Now, Tessie got a wild, so she could have moved the yellow, but she couldn't get the yellow all the 5 spaces, so she moved the green instead. And so the whole thing rolls on. I've kept back a couple of quite powerful cards so that I can have a kind of sprint finish. And you can see here, I play the 8, which I got when I bought the orange car. You always get an 8, so you can have that big boost. And that's how I win the race. Now, it continues in this way, but we haven't shown the rest of it because they more or less finish in the same order that they're shown on this image. Let's have a look at John's score then. So he came second, so he gets 9 million for coming second. On the betting, on the first round of betting, he bet that orange would come first, so he gets 9 million for that. On the second round of betting, he bet that green would come first, and green came third, so he gets 2 million for that. On the third round of betting, he went back to orange and gets 3 million for that. So his total score is 9 plus 14, and you take off what he spent on auction. Now he only spent 2 million, he only spent 2 million on auction. So his total score is 21, and he comes second. Now, I'm going to come back to this later, but I came first with my single car, which I bet on all the way. This is almost always how you win the game, and that's something we're going to come back to. So, John, what did you like about Downforce?
I like the fact that it's quite a fast game, both, because it's a racing game.
Yeah.
And because it's quite fast as well.
Yeah, to just plays quickly. You've got to just play a card, move a thing, play a card, move the cards.
Move cards, and
so it's got a good engine, you might say.
Yeah.
So that was very good. The other thing that's really great is what it looks like. It really is beautiful.
No. It's beautiful, and there's you can draw on the cards. I like the fact that in the instructions it says it's fine to draw on the cards.
Yes, you can customise. You mean the cards?
Yeah.
But also you're drawing, you're filling in a form. It's also nice to have a form that's something you tick and do during the game.
And the betting's really easy. You don't
extremely easy. You
don't actually have to spend any money, and you're not heavily in debt.
That's true. Got enough of being heavily in debt later in your life, I'm afraid. So what our scorings are, we have particular sorts of scorings just to show what it's like to play these games with a family. So the first of those is the complexity. What would you give this game for complexity, John?
I'd maybe give it a 3 or a 2.5, because it's really not complex. I mean, the mechanics are pretty simple, and I don't mean the mechanics at the pit stop.
Oh, very good. He goes back at me. I agree, because it is very simple and can be made more simple than how we played it, and in fact, we've seen a group of 7 and 8-year-olds play this without any adult supervision reasonably effectively. So
the rating on the box is rubbish.
The 14 plus on the box is totally wrong, and actually maybe a problem for the game in the long term.
Yes.
The second rating is the tantrum prevention factor.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Maybe a 3 or a 4 that time.
Yeah.
It can be pretty stressful if you don't get the car you wanted, or you don't have the cars you wanted, or you're doing terribly, or you're stuck behind orange for the entire game.
Yeah, that does happen when I've got orange. I'm a terrible driver. Yeah, so there are frustrations in the game, and I think if you're looking for a game where nobody is going to get upset, this might not be the thing. But then again, games are a space where you suffer frustrations in a supportive environment, as we've said several times on the channel. So I think it's okay from that point of view. Then we've got the fidget-free factor. How much fidgeting is likely in this game? Now, your sister did quite a lot of fidgeting when we were playing this.
Yes, I'd probably give this a 2. I mean, for fidget-free, 4. Because the only way you'd really fidget is if you're just faffing around and you're not doing much and you're kind of bored and. But
then she got a little impatient, so it's not.
And
perfect.
also things like the cunning ability, meaning you always move your cards, might be quite good if you have got someone
on the fidgety side
who is fidgety.
So what about amaze balls? That's our rating for just how amazing this experience is. I can't believe that happened. That's just incredible.
2.
Yeah, so you wrote this low. You rated this low, and I get that, because actually you know the cards you've got, and you're playing them, and first of all, if you're going to win, you know you're going to win. If you're going to come third, you know you're going to come third. There's not that many surprises late on in the game.
No, although you can do the thing where you just overtake loads and loads of people with one card, which is quite fun.
Yeah, that is fun, but it's not a kind of wow kind of game, except for the looks. The looks are the wow factor here.
The art's amazing.
Yeah,
it's properly amazing.
Okay, so what about an overall rating? Now, I don't know what your overall rating is, so surprise me.
Overall rating? You know what it is. It's 8.
Okay, I would agree. I also give it an 8 out of 10. I think as a family game to play with gamers or with non-gamers and with groups of families and including kids, I absolutely heartily recommend it because it's so accessible and interesting
and easy
and interesting from the beginning. With the auction right from the very get-go and very elegant.
And actually, the first go is pretty defining. So actually, the way it slows down is towards the end.
It's absolutely true. After the first person has finished, then it does drag a little bit. That's true.
Dragster.
Another one. Now, one note of caution, this is getting an awful lot of buzz among gamers, and I suspect that gamers, once they've played it a few times, will realise some of the slight flaws in the game. So, for instance, what seems to be quite a dominant strategy is to just buy one card, try and spend as little as possible on that card, and then bet on yourself and really hammer trying to get that car over the finish line first, and that is
like you did.
Really very successful in my experience. Now maybe the people I've been playing with haven't had a counter strategy for that, but I think I have a worry that this wonderful game, which has got 14 plus on it and therefore looks like it's put off children, which is actually best with children, is going to fall between two stools, because I think that would be a shame. As a family game, Games4Families recommends this.
Yes, so please try it.
And that's our review. Please check us out in all the usual places: Facebook, Twitter, what's the other one? YouTube, Games4Families. And see what else we have to offer. We've got lots of other stuff that we've posted and more to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, where's my physics book?
I don't know.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.